nightmare is that they're wearing
Axe body spray.
When Jaromir Jagr left the NHL at the end of the 07-08 season, a lot of people thought that was the end for him in the NHL. I mean, he was creeping up to his late 30s. His production was starting to dip. He was on the decline, 71 points after having two monstrous seasons before that with New York. So he heads off to Avangard Omsk of the KHL, and it's like, you know what? Sayonara, Jaromir. We'll see you when you come retire your jersey in Pittsburgh. Obviously, that's not what happens. He comes back in 2012 and plays for like a million different teams. And honestly, for a few years there, he was one of the best players in the league again in his 40s. I'll never forget him in Huberdeau in Florida. It's one of the most magical things I've ever seen. So when people say that Jagr almost signed with the Edmonton Oilers, a lot of people go right to, oh, okay, he almost went to Edmonton instead of going to the Flames when he was a free agent. He would have been 45 years old on his last legs in the NHL. Wouldn't have been a really great productive season. I mean, it would have been cool for the fans to see that, especially if he got to play with McDavid. But other than that, he was washed up at that point. 1 foot out the door of the NHL. No, according to a few reports, there's 2 different points that Jagr would have maybe joined the Edmonton Oilers, and it would have been in 2008 when he was still one of the best players in the world and the captain of the New York Rangers. As I'm sure you can imagine, this would have been earth-shattering for Oiler fans. I mean, they had just lost Ryan Smith in heartbreaking fashion. He would have got to play on a line with his fellow countryman and friend Ales Hemsky. We'll get more into that in a minute. And a young team with guys like Cogliano, Sean Horkoff, Sam Gagner, Dustin Penner. This would have been something to behold. That team was missing a punchy star, and Jagr would have been exactly that. So like I said, there's 2 versions of this. First of all, Jagr on Spin Chicklets, go check that podcast out if you haven't seen it already. He mentioned that after the 2007-08 season, he was in talks with Avangard Omsk of the KHL, but he wanted to go back to the Rangers, but they didn't want to give him more than a 1-year deal. So then when the Rangers thing fell apart, that's when he said, okay, it looks like I'm going to go play in the KHL. But then the Oilers swooped in and gave him a big free agent offer. Quote, I would have made a lot more money in the NHL with the offer I got in Edmonton. I could have made a lot more. But here's the really juicy part. You ready for this one? Because I promised Omsk if I don't sign with New York, I'll go to Russia. I wanted to keep my promise. But then, on July 2nd, Edmonton called. I didn't want to break the promise. I believe in karma, so if you promise something and you break it, it's just not good. And Jagr did mention that he was, quote, very close to signing with the Oilers. So it's not like it was kind of, I don't know. No. It really seems like if that Omsk team isn't in the picture, he's an Oiler. Jagr and Hemsky, who was probably the biggest name on that Oilers team at the time, had played in the Olympics together, and it was obviously a lure for him to go to Edmonton. But while he was in town in 2012 with the Flyers, he also mentioned that I was interested. I talked to then GM Kevin Lowe. They had a new owner. They have a good young team. It just didn't happen. Maybe in my next life. But that's not where it ends, because on the Jason Greiger show in 2019, Jason Strudwick talked about another time where Jagr almost decided to sign with Edmonton. So apparently, during the 2008-09 season, if Jagr's KHL team, Avangard Omsk, would have missed the playoffs, which apparently they were very close to doing, he reportedly would have signed with the Oilers for the remainder of that season. He would have made a return to the NHL much sooner than he actually ended up doing. And if you'll remember, the Oilers were in the thick of the playoff race that year. Yes, they fell out of it near the end, but they were right up there until the end. And if they had Jagr, who, again, this isn't 45-year-old Jagr, they would have probably made it. That would have cut the decade of darkness down by a lot. Hey, Oilers fans, instead of making the playoffs in 2017 after that 2006 Cup final, it would have been 2009. And that would have been ridiculous, because then, who knows, maybe Jagr stays for a couple of years, and maybe the Oilers don't get Taylor Hall, maybe they don't get Nugent Hopkins or Yakupov. Like, there's so much stuff that would have been completely different. This would have changed everything for that Oilers franchise. Man, that would have been cool to see Jagr, who could still put up 75, 80, 90 points, play with the Edmonton Oilers, especially, again, like I mentioned, right after losing Ryan Smith. It would have been perfection, and I'm sad that it didn't happen, to be honest with you. I think this would have been sick. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Okay, since we kind of have more stuff in the video, like kind of more time.
Gonna need more time?
I think we should bring up
This is the first YouTube video ever. And the website was originally for dating. So 2002, we got these 3 friends working at PayPal, Chad, Steve, and Jawed.
Anyway, I think sorry. I want 2 more vlogs where I'm like doing 24-hour challenges. Not like I touched the car for 24 hours. No, not that. No, not those. Like 24-hour challenges, like I sat in a living room for 24 hours or something. I have like 2 living rooms, or we could do like the kitchen and then the bathroom. The only problem is that we have 2 bathrooms, and I'd probably have to be downstairs because the bath is upstairs in my house, so. Okay, that's today's video. Thank you for watching.
Adobe had just released Flash Player 8, and if users got the free plugin, videos could be shrunk down to playable size. Once Jawed posted the video, me at the